She walked in on a Sunday night, pulling her suitcase behind her with that tired but satisfied look people get after traveling. "Denver went well?" I asked. I was standing in the kitchen reheating pasta from 2 nights before. "Exhausting," she said, dropping the bag near the stairs. "But good. The sessions were packed." She looked rested, too rested for 4 days of back-to-back meetings. Her hair had been styled recently, nails done. She smelled like hotel soap and something else, a cologne I didn't recognize. "You look good," I said. She smiled. Hotel beds. No kids jumping on me at 6 in the morning. Fair point. Our 2 boys were 7 and 9. Sleep was rare in this house. She kissed my cheek, quick and distracted. "I'm going to shower. Wake me if they need anything." I watched her go upstairs. Something sat wrong in my chest, but I didn't have a name for it yet. 3 days later, someone knocked on the door. I opened it and found a woman I'd never seen before, mid-30s, blonde, eyes red and swollen. "Are you Ethan?" she asked. Her voice shook. "Yeah, can I help you?" She held up a manila envelope. Her hands were trembling. "I'm Claire. My husband is Josh Kellerman. He works with your wife." My stomach dropped. "I think you need to see this," she said, "because 4 days ago, while you thought your wife was in Denver." She opened the envelope and pulled out a stack of receipts. "She was in Scottsdale with my husband, same room." The air left the room. She handed me the first receipt, Ritz-Carlton Scottsdale, Suite 847, check-in Thursday, check-out Sunday. 2 names on the reservation, Josh Kellerman and Lauren Hayes. Lauren Hayes, my wife's maiden name. "There's more," Claire whispered. I looked at her, then at the envelope in her hands. Then I stepped aside and let her in. "My name is Ethan Mitchell. I'm 38. I teach history at a high school in Gilbert, a suburb outside Phoenix. I coach JV basketball. I drive a Subaru with cracker crumbs ground into the back seat that will never come out. My wife Lauren is a senior account manager at a tech marketing firm downtown. She makes about twice what I do. That's never bothered me. I'm the one who does morning drop-offs. I pack the lunches. I know which kid wants the crust cut off and which one doesn't. Lauren travels for work, conferences, client meetings, team off-sites. It's part of the job. Or that's what I thought. We've been married 11 years, 2 boys. Carter is 9, Mason is 7. On paper, we're the family people admire. Nice house, good jobs, kids in sports, dinner together most nights. But somewhere along the way, something cracked. And I didn't see it until a stranger showed up at my door. Let me go back 6 months. That's when the trips started getting more frequent. Denver for a product launch, Austin for a leadership summit, San Diego for a client pitch. Every trip was 3 to 4 days. She'd come home tired but energized in a way I couldn't quite place. She'd talk about the sessions she attended, the people she met, the food. It all sounded legitimate, but there were small things. New lingerie in her suitcase once. The expensive kind, still in the packaging. A receipt from a restaurant I'd never heard of, in a city she'd supposedly never visited. One night I called her hotel room at 10. She'd said she was turning in early. The front desk said there was no one registered under her name. "Must be a mistake," she said when I mentioned it. "They probably had me under the company account." I believed her. Because I wanted to. Because the alternative was unthinkable. Josh Kellerman was a name I'd heard before. Lauren mentioned him occasionally. Josh closed a huge deal. Josh is leading the new campaign. Josh got promoted to VP. He was her coworker, her peer, maybe her friend. I'd never met him, never thought to ask. Why would I? I trusted my wife. Claire sat on the edge of the couch, gripping the envelope like it was the only thing holding her together. "How did you find out?" I asked. "Josh has been acting strange for months," she said. "Distant, always on his phone. Last week I found a credit card statement he'd tried to hide. Hotels, restaurants, flights. All on days he said he was working late." "So, you confronted him?" "Not at first." She pulled out her phone. "I hired a private investigator." She showed me a photo. It was taken outside the Ritz-Carlton in Scottsdale. A man and a woman standing close, laughing, his hand on her lower back. I recognized her immediately. My throat went dry. "There's more," Claire said quietly. She spread the contents of the envelope across my coffee table. Hotel receipts, dinner reservations, spa appointments, couples massages. Every trip Lauren had told me was for work had a matching receipt with Josh's name on it. Denver. They'd actually been in Napa. Austin, Santa Fe. San Diego, that one was real, but they'd stayed in the same suite. "They've been doing this for at least 6 months, Claire said. Her voice was hollow. "Maybe longer." I stared at the receipts. My brain struggled to process what I was seeing. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked. "Because I'm done," she said simply. "I'm filing for divorce, and I thought you deserved to know before she spins you some story." She stood up, leaving the envelope on the table. "I'm sorry. I know this isn't easy." "Wait, does Josh know you're here?" "No, and he won't. Not until my lawyer serves him." She walked to the door, then paused. "For what it's worth, you seem like a good guy. You deserve better than this." Then she left. And I sat there alone in my living room, surrounded by proof that my marriage was a lie. I didn't confront Lauren that night. I couldn't. The boys were home. It was a school night. Life had to keep moving. So I made dinner, helped with homework, tucked the kids into bed. Then I sat in the dark living room, staring at the envelope on the coffee table, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. Lauren came downstairs around 10, wearing pajamas, hair wet from the shower. "You coming to bed?" she asked. "In a bit," I said. I didn't look at her. She hesitated. "You okay?" "Yeah, just grading papers." She kissed the top of my head. "Don't stay up too late." Then she went upstairs. I sat there listening to her footsteps fade, wondering how long she'd been lying to me. The next morning, I called in sick, dropped the boys at school. Then I drove to a coffee shop across town where no one would recognize me. I spread the receipts across the table and started making a list. Dates, locations, charges. Every piece of evidence Claire had given me, organized and cross-referenced with Lauren's work calendar. The pattern was undeniable. Every business trip lined up with a hotel reservation for 2. Every late meeting matched a dinner charge at a romantic restaurant. I pulled up our joint credit card statements. Lauren had been careful. Most of the charges were on a card I didn't have access to, but there were a few slip-ups, a florist in Napa, a spa in Santa Fe. I'd asked about them at the time. "Client gifts," she'd said. "Expense to the company." Lies, all of it. I felt my hands start to shake, not from sadness, from anger. I'd spent 11 years building a life with this woman. I supported her career, raised our kids, held down the home front while she climbed the ladder. And she'd repaid me by sleeping with her co-worker in luxury hotels across the country. I needed advice, but I couldn't talk to my friends. They all knew Lauren. I couldn't talk to my family. They'd lose their minds. So I did what any desperate man does in 2024. I Googled it. What to do when your wife is cheating. The results were a mix of therapy blogs, legal advice, and forum threads full of men who'd been exactly where I was. One thread caught my eye. Caught my wife cheating. Here's what I did. The top comment was from a guy who'd handled it like a military operation. "Don't confront until you have everything documented. Get a lawyer first, protect your assets, secure your kids. Then, and only then, drop the hammer." The replies were full of men thanking him, saying his advice had saved them in their own divorces. I read the whole thread. Then I read 10 more. By the time I left the coffee shop, I had a plan. Step 1. Find a lawyer. I called 3 firms that afternoon. The first 2 couldn't see me for weeks. The third, a small practice run by a woman named Angela Ruiz, had an opening the next day. "What's this regarding?" the receptionist asked. "Divorce, infidelity." "We can help. See you tomorrow at 2. I hung up and felt a strange sense of relief. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was taking action. That night, Lauren came home late. "Sorry," she said, dropping her bag by the door. "Josh and I had to finish a presentation for tomorrow." Josh. She said his name so casually, like it didn't mean anything. "How's Josh doing?" I asked. My voice was neutral. "Good, stressed. You know how it is." "Yeah," I said. "I bet." She didn't catch the edge in my voice, or if she did, she didn't care. She heated up leftovers, scrolled through her phone while she ate, then went upstairs to catch up on emails. I stayed downstairs, staring at the envelope hidden in my desk drawer. Tomorrow I'd start building my case. Tonight I just had to survive. Angela Ruiz's office was in a strip mall between a nail salon and a chiropractor. Not glamorous, but the reviews online were solid. She was in her mid-40s, sharp eyes, no nonsense. The kind of lawyer who'd seen every flavor of betrayal and wasn't impressed by any of it. I sat across from her and slid the envelope across the desk. "My wife's coworker's wife gave me this. I need to know what I'm dealing with." Angela opened the envelope, flipped through the receipts. Her expression didn't change. "How long have you been married?" 11 years. "Kids?" 2 boys, 7 and 9. "Joint assets?" "House, cars, savings. She makes more than me, but we've always kept things joint." Angela nodded, making notes. "Arizona is a community property state. That means anything acquired during the marriage gets split 50-50 in a divorce, even if she's the one who cheated." "Even then?" "Infidelity doesn't affect asset division, but it can affect custody and spousal support." She looked up. "Do you want custody of your kids?" "Yes." "Then we need to be smart. Don't confront her yet. Don't tip your hand. We need to document everything first." "What do you mean?" "Bank statements, credit cards, her travel schedule, text messages if you can access them. The more evidence we have, the stronger your position." She leaned back. "Cheating spouses get sloppy. They think they're untouchable. We're going to use that against her." Over the next 2 weeks, I became a detective in my own home. I went through Lauren's laptop while she was at work, found old emails, deleted texts she thought were gone. I pulled up our cell phone records. Hundreds of calls and texts to Josh's number. Late at night, early in the morning. During hours, she'd told me she was in meetings. I checked our credit card statements going back a year. Found charges she'd hidden, jewelry, lingerie, flowers sent to an address I didn't recognize. Josh's house, I later learned. I documented everything, screenshots, photos, spreadsheets. Angela had been right. Lauren had gotten sloppy. She thought I was too busy with the kids and work to notice. She thought I trusted her too much to check. She was wrong. The breaking point came on a Friday night. Lauren's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while she was upstairs putting the kids to bed. I glanced at the screen. "Can't wait for next weekend. I booked the suite." My blood went cold. Next weekend. She'd told me she was going to a conference in Seattle. I picked up her phone. It wasn't locked. She trusted me that much. I opened the thread. Months of messages, flirting, planning, explicit photos I will never be able to unsee, and then, buried in the thread, a message from 3 weeks ago. "Josh, I think I'm falling for you." Lauren, "I know. Me too." I set the phone down carefully. My hands were shaking. She wasn't just cheating. She was in love with him. I didn't sleep that night. I lay next to Lauren in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe. She had no idea I knew. No idea that in 2 days I'd be meeting with Angela to finalize the divorce papers. No idea that her perfect double life was about to implode. Saturday morning, I got up early, made breakfast for the boys, acted normal. Lauren came downstairs around 9, already dressed, makeup done. "I'm meeting the girls for brunch," she said, grabbing her purse. "Have fun," I said. She kissed me on the cheek, the same casual, meaningless gesture she'd been giving me for months. Then she left. I waited until her car was out of the driveway. Then I called Angela. "I'm ready," I said. "Let's file." The papers were served on a Tuesday. Lauren was at work. A process server walked into her office, asked for her by name, and handed her the envelope. I wasn't there, but Claire was. She'd coordinated with me. She wanted to see the look on both their faces. She texted me a photo 20 minutes later. Lauren sitting at her desk, papers spread in front of her, face white as a sheet. Josh standing in the doorway, his own envelope in hand, looking like he'd just been hit by a truck. Claire had filed for divorce the same day. We'd timed it perfectly. Lauren came home that night like a storm rolling in. She slammed the door, threw her bag across the room. "What the hell is this?" she shouted, waving the papers. I was sitting on the couch, calm. I'd been preparing for this moment for 2 weeks. "It's a divorce petition," I said evenly. "I can see that. Why didn't you talk to me first? Why didn't you talk to me before you started sleeping with Josh?" She froze, the color drained from her face. "I don't know what you're—" I interrupted. "I have the receipts, the texts, the photos, all of it." I pulled out my phone and held up a screenshot of her message to Josh. "I think I'm falling for you." She stared at it, then at me. "Ethan, I'm done," I said quietly. "I'm done being lied to. I'm done being the idiot who believed you every time you said it was just work. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think." I stood up. "You've been cheating on me for at least 6 months. You used our money to fund your affair. You lied to me, to our kids, to everyone." Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't mean for this to happen. But it did. And now you get to deal with the consequences." She tried every angle. First, denial. "It was just a mistake. It didn't mean anything." Then, blame. "You were never around. You were always focused on the kids." Then bargaining. "We can fix this. Counseling. Whatever you want." I didn't bite. "I want a divorce," I said. "I want primary custody of the boys, and I want you out of this house by the end of the week. You can't kick me out. This is my house too." "Actually, I can. Arizona law allows me to request temporary orders. My lawyer already filed them." Her face twisted. "You've been planning this?" "Yeah, while you were planning your next trip with Josh." The next few weeks were hell. Lauren hired her own lawyer, an aggressive guy named Brad, who immediately started making threats. "My client is entitled to half of everything, the house, the savings, the retirement accounts." Angela didn't flinch. "Your client committed adultery and used marital funds to finance it. We have documentation. Arizona is a no-fault state. But fraud is fraud, and we're prepared to argue that your client misappropriated marital assets." Brad backed off slightly. "We went to mediation. It was brutal." Lauren cried. She apologized. She begged me to reconsider. But when it came time to negotiate, she wanted everything. The house, the cars, full custody. "She's delusional," Angela muttered during a break. "Can we win?" I asked. "We can, but it's going to get ugly." It got ugly. Lauren's lawyer tried to paint me as a controlling husband who'd driven her into Josh's arms. They brought up the fact that I'd accessed her phone and laptop without permission. "Invasion of privacy," Brad argued. "Marital property," Angela countered. "He had every right to access devices paid for with joint funds." They tried to argue that I was an unfit parent because I worked full-time. Angela brought in testimony from the boys' teachers, coaches, neighbors. Everyone said the same thing. I was the primary caregiver. They tried to claim Lauren deserved the house because she made more money. Angela showed the receipts, proving she'd spent tens of thousands on her affair. Slowly, piece by piece, we dismantled her case. The final hearing was in October. The judge was a no-nonsense woman in her 60s. She listened to both sides. Then she made her ruling. "I'm granting Mr. Mitchell primary physical custody of the minor children. Mrs. Mitchell will have supervised visitation until she completes a parenting course." Lauren gasped. "The marital home will be sold. Proceeds split 50-50 after Mr. Mitchell is reimbursed for funds misappropriated during the affair." Brad started to object. The judge cut him off. "I've reviewed the evidence. Mrs. Mitchell used marital funds to finance an extramarital relationship. That constitutes fraud. Mr. Mitchell is entitled to reimbursement." She looked at Lauren. "You're lucky he's not asking for more." The gavel came down. It was over. Lauren moved out 2 weeks later. She rented a condo downtown, close to work, close to Josh, though I heard through Claire that their relationship didn't survive the fallout. Turns out affairs are a lot less fun when they're not secret anymore. The boys adjusted. It wasn't easy, but kids are resilient. Carter asked once, "Why doesn't Mom live with us anymore?" I kept it simple. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, but your mom and I both love you very much. He seemed satisfied with that. 6 months later, I was sitting in my kitchen, now my kitchen, in a smaller house I'd bought after we sold the old one. My phone buzzed. A text from Claire. "Coffee sometime? I think we've earned it." I smiled. "Yeah, we have." We met the following Saturday, talked about our kids, our jobs, the weirdness of starting over in your late 30s. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Blowing everything up?" I thought about it. "No, I regret not seeing it sooner, but I don't regret ending it." She nodded. "Me neither. We didn't date. We didn't need to. We were just two people who'd survived the same storm and come out the other side. And that was enough." A year later, I ran into Josh at a coffee shop. He saw me. I saw him. For a second, I thought about walking over, saying something. But what was there to say? He'd lost his wife, his kids' respect, his reputation at work. I'd lost a cheating spouse and gained my self-respect. We weren't even. I was ahead, so I grabbed my coffee and walked out. And I never looked back. These days, life is quieter, simpler. I wake up at 6, make breakfast for the boys, pack their lunches, drive them to school. Then I go teach history to kids who mostly don't care about the Louisiana Purchase. But some of them do, and that's enough. The house is smaller now, 3 bedrooms instead of 5. No fancy backyard, no 2-car garage. But it's mine. And it's peaceful. The boys come home every afternoon. We do homework at the kitchen table. I make dinner. We eat together. No phones, no distractions. On weekends, Lauren picks them up for her visitation. She completed the parenting course. She shows up on time now. She's trying. I don't hold grudges, not for her sake, for mine. Last month, Carter asked me if I was happy. We were sitting on the porch. He was working on a model airplane. I was reading. "Yeah," I said. "I am." He looked at me. "Good. You seem different now." "Different how?" "I don't know. Calmer." I thought about that. He was right. I don't carry the weight anymore. The doubt, the questions, the feeling that something was always just slightly wrong. Now I know where I stand, and that's worth more than anything. A few weeks ago, I got a message from someone I hadn't talked to in years, a guy I used to coach with. He said his wife had been acting strange, traveling a lot, coming home different. He asked if we could talk. I told him yes, because I know what it's like to be in that place, to sense something but not want to believe it, to feel like you're losing your mind, and I know what it's like to come out the other side. So if this story meant something to you, if you've been where I was, or if you know someone who has, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment. Tell me what city you're watching from and what time it is where you are. I'd love to know who's out there listening. 2 more stories are coming up next. Real people, real situations, real choices. Thanks for being here.